Hey guys, Justin Ledford here, and welcome to the Real Construction Owners Podcast. Today, we're going to be stepping into the solar business with Cody Booth. Whether you want to start landing $100,000 contracts or $3 million government construction contracts, the course I've created for you will give you the exact blueprints you need to succeed as a government contractor. It's a self-paced university, so you can complete all of this at the comfort of your home. It includes 33 lectures, a 30-day challenge for you to win a minimum of $200,000 in contracts, a comprehensive digital manual, and exclusive access to a private online university. If you're interested, I'll leave a link down below. We'd love to have you join us. Now let's go ahead and begin by stepping into the solar business with Cody Booth. Welcome to the Real Construction Owners Podcast, where we interview real construction owners doing big things within our industry to help you go from being a stressed out operator to an owner who's crushing it in every area of your life. Today, we have a special guest, Cody Booth, the owner of SolCal Group. This company that he has built is closing anywhere from 100 to 250 solar deals per month. If you're a roofing contractor or a contractor in general that wants to learn how to tap into the gold rush of solar, then pay close attention. Welcome, Cody. How you doing today, bro?
Good, Justin. Thanks for having me on here.
Hey, man. It's an honor. You know, I found you through one of the groups, and I saw that you were doing big things in the solar world. And before we go into your best processes, some of your favorite investments you've made, and some of the mistakes you've made, and then we talk about, how epic your solar business is, I want to know your story. Tell our audience, how did it all get started? What were you doing before you got into this? And what led you to the path down, grabbing the opportunity with solar?
So I grew up in upstate New York, and outside of Syracuse. And in the area that I grew up in, there's not a lot of entrepreneurs. Kind of the pinnacle, the apex of where you can get to in life is, if you get a $50,000-$60,000 a year job with good benefits, you buy a house, you work till you're broken, and then you retire. And I ended up, I bounced around, and I kind of lived the hippie lifestyle a little bit. I was a musician and stuff like that, and I had a lot of fun. And then ended up in Southern California, and took a job as a solar canvasser. At the time, this would have been around 2014. At the time, I didn't know anything about solar. It just kind of seemed like it was a job. They were going to pay me $15 an hour plus commission. I thought that solar was hokey and it didn't work, but I'm like, whatever, these idiots are going to pay me $15 an hour no matter what, whether I generate a sale, whether I do anything. And I was just going door to door canvassing, and very little training. So of course it sucked. It was in the Coachella Valley. It was Palm Springs, 120 degrees. Not a great.
Your feet melt off.
Yeah, your feet melt off, and then all the houses are built out of stucco. So you'd walk down, like they have these almost like hallways where you walk up to the door, and the heat would just be radiating off these, stucco house. Some people would have, thermometers hanging by the door, and you'd look up, and the sweat would be pouring down your face, and the thermometer would say, like 136 degrees. It sucks. There's got to be a better way. And I got sniped by another company. They came by and they're like, hey, you could be making, this much money if you do this, but the only difference is it's commission only. And I'm like, at the time, I didn't have kids. I wasn't married. I've got 4 kids now. I said, screw it. I got nothing to lose, at the time, 25 years old. What bad could happen to me? So I started working with them, and they taught me a lot. They introduced me to people like Tim Mulcahy and Tom Hopkins and all the sales greats. And they really taught me, how to sell, and that was good. But what they also taught me is how to not value people, and they didn't value the people that worked for them. And it got to a point where I kept having all these ideas, and I'd bring them, hey, this idea, that idea. There's got to be other ways to get clients. There's got to be other ways to get customers. And other than the fact that I was doing all the work and getting 30% of the money, I would have been fine with that if there was support, if we could work on new ideas. But it was just, they were comfortable where they were at, and I wasn't comfortable where we were at. So myself and a couple other guys started our own door-to-door company, and we had the mindset that we don't want to be on the doors forever, right? I, eventually got married. My wife had 2 kids from previous. We have 2 more now. And I want to be at home with my family when I want to be. I want to travel when I want to be. And for guys that know door to door, you don't get much, sure, you can take off whenever you want, but guess what happens as soon as you take off? You stop making money. Yeah. Right. And so we built a system with door to door, where first the idea was, how do we get off the doors, but create the doors so that we just get closes, right? And then how do we perfect that to the point where we can, then train guys to close, and then we're off the doors and out of the home. And we did that. The initial idea was to kind of try and create almost like a marketplace where we created leads through door to door, then passed them on to other sales organizations and stuff like that too. That never fully fleshed out. Part of the reason is that's not the easiest thing to do. It sounds like a great idea, but controlling that many people is not easy. And then, the pandemic.
It's kind of like herding cats. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're playing a lot of whack-a-mole.
Right.
When you do that. And so, yeah, and then we got into the virtual space in once the pandemic hit, and I haven't been to the office since.
It's actually love it.
I do.
I heard from another one of my guests, and he learned this from a very wealthy man. He said, in your 20s, you need to be a sponge, just like you were. You decided, I'm going to get in this, I'm going to learn it. Get into an organization, get educated, acquire skills, listen to podcasts, get in and sweat and put in the work. And in your 30s, make a bet on yourself, go all in. And that's where you're at right now, it sounds like. And then in your 40s, you get to reap the harvest, and in your 50s and 60s, you get to give back. So yes, kudos to you for being where you're at today. So let's talk about what you're doing now and how we're helping contractors get solar deals closed. Because these contractors, they already selling siding, they're already selling gutters, they're already selling windows, they're already selling roofs. And now all they got to do at the end of the appointment is spark interest of, hey, have you ever considered, saving money on your electricity bill? What are some questions that a contractor can ask a homeowner to get them interested in getting a free energy analysis?
So, I mean, the first thing, depending on the market, like, roofing, for example, is huge in Texas, right? What's great about Texas? Texas is the mecca of roofing, right? For most companies. Florida's huge too, prayers to everybody in Florida right now with Ian.
Chasing that storm.
Yeah. But Texas is really the mecca of solar. So if you're in a market, roofing, it's turning into the mecca of solar too. But if you're in a market like Texas, for example, it's, the pain point there is that every 3 to 5 years, you got to sign a new contract. It's deregulated, right? Deregulated energy. What that means is your rate's protected for a couple of years, and then you sign a new contract, right? So, if you want to start real basic, if you're in a market like Texas, it's, hey, are you currently out of contract with your electric company? Because what a lot of these people don't realize is their contract expired, and then they just jack their rates up 60%. It's not like they turn their power off, right? Or, hey, how long is your existing, electric contract in place? And then they're going to say, I don't know why. Go ahead and grab your bill. Then you can just move right into getting a bill from there, really, right? Because, their contracts expire every couple of years, right? And who wouldn't love a cheaper price for power that's fixed, right, for 25 years? Who wants to negotiate a new energy price every 3 to 5 years that's always higher than the previous 3 to 5 years? If you're in a market like California with power prices that are 4 times the national average, you just take an extra 2x4 and you hit the homeowner over the head if they don't have solar, and you ask them why. That's the best. No, in California, it's such a no-brainer. One of the ways that I've seen it done before, offer them a discount. Everybody loves offers. Everybody loves $500 gift card, or or a $200 gift card. What we've learned is the amount doesn't matter. People just like stuff, right? We'll give you, I've noticed, you own the house, beautiful house, it's nice and cool in here. Thank you for keeping the AC on for us. It's been hot outside. You guys must get some ridiculously high electric bills here, being that you're in California and you have a nice big beautiful house. Yeah,
we sure do. It's crazy. It was $400 last month.
Cha-ching, hey, this might sound a little wild, but we have another program. We give you a $100 Visa gift card as a thank you for a review. And if you give us an electric bill and we're able to come and present to you, the options to chop your bill by 40%. You've already got that rapport,
Yeah.
And even more than that, I like talking to people about dollars and not percent too. Hey, we saved a guy similar to you throughout 25 years, 60 grand. What would you do with an extra 60 grand? Hey, 30 minutes, $100 gift card. If you don't like it, no harm, no foul. But most people like 60 grand.
Yeah, that's so true, man. That's so true. Now, I heard Carolinas is a great place to be pushing, helping homeowners with solar as well, because the federal tax credit of 30% plus the state credit, where it's like an extra 20%. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have some insights on the benefits of solar in the Carolinas?
So I just moved to Greenville, South Carolina, and they've got we've got a 25% state in here. I haven't launched it yet. Probably will pretty soon. One of the nice things about South Carolina, look, most people have Duke, and Duke was a very forward friendly utility. So it's just starting to take off here. The power prices aren't high, but the sun hours are good and the incentives are good. But people use a lot of power because power's been so cheap here for so long that people don't really pay attention to how much they consume here. I've noticed it myself. We use a lot more power now that we moved here. So I'm like, paying 13 cents. I just left California where it's 50 cents per kilowatt hour. So everybody here, the systems are big. The savings aren't huge. It's a growing area. And, as they expand and they grow the grid, inflation, the cost of everything goes up. So to me, markets like South Carolina and North Carolina are really going to be kind of the sweet. Don't tell anyone. They're going to be the sweet spots for the next couple of years.
Yeah. Hey, man, I went to North Carolina, went to the Hatteras Islands. We did wind surfing and surfing. Dude, that place is awesome. It's a little boom town out there. It's really nice. I liking it.
I love it. It's slower pace of life. I still can, I travel. I was in Miami about a week and a half ago. I had it to Dallas tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. I like the East Coast. I grew up in upstate New York, and I want to get back to the East Coast. My family's still there, but I don't want winter for 6 months. So the nice thing about being on the East Coast versus, California is East Coast, you can go on road trips. You can take the family, go up to the mountains, go on a road trip. California, you think you're going to go on a road trip, and then you go to a traffic jam. So,
yeah. And the smog and like honk.
Yeah. And it was crazy, especially once lockdown lifted and everything. It was like going to the grocery store was stressful. Everybody was just out and about, and we lived by the beach and it was nice living in Orange County and all that. Don't get me wrong, but it was like, I forgot how much I hated crowds. People, everything was stressful. And here it's just like, I was meeting I dropped the kids off at school this morning. I was meeting a friend of mine for breakfast and I knew where I was going and I just zoned out and got lost. And I'm like, I'm on some random country road. I'll figure out where I'm going. There's just no.
Yeah. I feel like, dude, that's why I'm in Central America. Like everything's tranquilo and peaceful. So good for you, man. I'm glad that you're in that vibe of like, let's just chill and help. I love it. Yeah. So before we dive into like the goods, I want to ask you some personal questions because your company's killing it. You're selling 150 to 250 solar deals a month. With that, what are some things you're investing in? An investment that has surprised you?
So right now, honestly, outside of my business, nothing yet. I've got some things that I'm going to be doing. I don't know if you're familiar with a guy named Bennett Maxwell who runs a company called Dirty Dough. They're a cookie franchise. Now he does a lot of podcasts too. So him and I do a lot of the same podcasts. But right now I've got rights to 3 of those. And so within the next year, I'll be opening hopefully all 3 of those in the Las Vegas market. And then once he's on the East Coast, I'll be doing some out here in South Carolina. But right now, pretty much both my main focus is growing my current businesses. When we started Solbita, it was during the pandemic. We took this has happened multiple times throughout running my own solar business. We took most of what we had and put it into our model to really try and blow it up and bet on ourselves. And it won. And so now we're looking at continuing to expand, get into my end goal is I'd like to get to 500 accounts a month.
That's money, bro. That's the fire.
It's a big target, right? And sometimes it seems unreasonable. But with the help of collaborating with other organizations and things like that, it's possible. I used to believe that had to be all me, and now that's so stupid.
Collaborate to dominate. Check out Who Not How by Dan Sullivan if you haven't already. That is about finding the who's that can help you get your how done. Love it. So, Cody, let's talk about Masterminds. You're obviously into personal growth, and what would you say Masterminds have done for your success and for the trajectory of your business?
So tomorrow morning, I'm actually flying out to meet with my main mastermind group out in Dallas, and I've only been in that group for about 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months, and it's just blown on my network. It's been awesome, and I'm not. We all think we're unique, right? Going into the mastermind, I thought everybody's gonna be a lot different than me, and I'm more into music. I go see a lot of concerts. I'm into a band called Fish. Most people in the entrepreneur space aren't into the Grateful Dead and Fish. You don't get that.
You must have had some visions.
I've had some kids.
Man, you need to come down here to Envision. It's a big thing in Central America, or it's a big
in Costa Rica, right?
Yeah.
I think my brother worked for New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, and I believe, I know he worked at a festival this year in Costa Rica, and I believe it was the Vision Festival. So he's a production manager. So maybe next year. And
would you say Masterminds have greatly impacted the trajectory of your success?
Massively. And I'm just starting to kind of tap into that. I've got some meetings tomorrow, meetings outside of the meetings with some guys I'm going to be collaborating with. It's opened my world. I've done probably 10 podcasts in the last 2 months, and most of them have come from that. And then from those podcasts have come, collaborations and clients, and it's been, you pay to play. And so I guess that's probably been the best investment outside of investing in myself, has been investing in Masterminds. It's not cheap. I mean, as a company, myself and my partners invest more than five figures a month into Masterminds, but it pays for itself, and it hasn't even really financially. I'm not even talking about finance, just long term, right? Like, let's say solar goes away tomorrow, right? If you'd asked me a year ago, solar goes away tomorrow, are you scared? And I'd be like, a little bit. Solar goes away tomorrow.
It's all good. Like the skills you have learned, you can't take them.
The skills I've learned in the network that I have now, I'm fine. Yeah. And that's a nice feeling. It's an extra layer of, the freedom that we're all searching for.
So for these contractors who are looking to implement solar, list out a few of the benefits of what solar has done for you in your life.
So for me, it's given me, I would say it's given me a life beyond my wildest dreams. I do what I want, when I want. I work from where I want to. And it's allowed me to, collaborate and meet people that I never would have met, people that are very different from me, people that have different belief systems than me, different interests than me. And we have this commonality now. And it's really brought my, I didn't know that a life like this was possible. And it sounds so corny, but like, it's the little things for me. This past weekend, I live in South Carolina now. My buddy calls me up and says, "Hey, do you want to go to the Carolina Panthers football game?" I asked the kids, "Hey, do you want to go to the Panthers football game?" Sure. 2 hours later, we're sitting out the 50-yard line of the game. I never thought that life was possible, So that's the weekend before. I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan. I was in Miami for the Bills game, great seats. Went to a Michelin star restaurant after, had a fine way, and that stuff's, that stuff is the cherry on top, it's not the most important. The most important is, when we're off this podcast, and my wife gets back and picks up the kids from school, they're going to come bursting in the office and give me a big hug. And if I feel like taking them to the park, then that's what I'm going to do.
Yep. Freedom, time freedom. That's what it's all about right there. So what's an expensive lesson you've learned?
Ooh, that easy's never easy. We have done some, we've done some partnerships with some people in the past because it seemed easy. And hey, they've already got this sales team. We don't really know them that well. And then let's just burst it in this new market and not get to know them that well. And let's just give them 20 leads a day that cost us money, and then have them go close them, right? And not get to know their team. And just rush into things. And then there's the unfortunate side is there's some greed when you do that. And people aren't. What I've learned is I think very, I try and think for today, right? I try and stay in the moment, stay in today. But I also think, where can we go and what can we do? I don't look at, if I'm going to partner with somebody, like my business partners now, some of the very first people I met in solar 8 years ago, right? I want to, I've been aligned with the same people since I got into solar, because we have, and not everyone, I've seen a lot of companies go out of business, a lot of people quit the industry, a lot of people get burned, and, not everybody thinks like that. And so the biggest mistake I made is doing collaborations with people who either their organization doesn't look at things long-term, or their reps now. And so we've been burned by, you say, you get, even if you give a rep 50% of the deal, there's still a lot of greedy reps out there that say, well, if I put it in with this company over here and take 100%, they'll never know. And that's happened, unfortunately, numerous times. So that's been, so my business partner Manny, and I always say, easy is never easy. Every time something is seen like, God, that's going to be so easy. They've got a team. We trust. Yeah, we trust them. Yeah, sure. Every time we've ever thought that anything was going to be super easy, it never was. And it's always cost us money.
That's some powerful, wise words right there, brother. Dropping some bombs straight up. So let's talk about how you're generating your business. What are tactics, techniques, strategies that is enabling your company to close so many deals?
So we still have a small, door-to-door branch. I don't spend as much time on that because it's not really my favorite thing. I haven't knocked a door, and I did. A buddy of mine was in LA about 6 months ago, and I did go knock some doors for fun. And then after a day, I said, "Oh, that was nostalgic.
I'm not going to do that anymore."
Yeah, that was fun. We actually knocked doors in Compton, in the equestrian area of Compton, which there's horses in Compton, and so I got some cool videos with some cool horses in Compton, and went back about my life. But we partner. I've got a buddy of mine who owns a Facebook and YouTube marketing company. They dabble in TikTok and Instagram now. So we get leads from them. Referrals are huge. Even though I haven't, personally sold in the last couple of years, I have referral chains that are 6, 7, 8 years long. Now most of the time, because that is added time working, right? And I like to have family time. I usually pass those on to one of my reps and let them, here you go, here's a freebie, because I know they're going to take care of them. They're an internal rep, and they're going to sell the way I would sell. And then we do some cold calling and age data and stuff like that. I would say the majority of our business comes from that.
How are you scaling your business?
So right now, the one of the main ways is we're able to, everybody outside of the closer works virtually. Our project management team, our setters, our openers, and then we have some virtual closers too. So, and then our strong suit is our strong middle. So right now, two of my partners are in Vegas right now. as I'm yammering away, they're hard at work, building out an office there, which is going to be full of people that are going to be, virtual setters and virtual closers, or basically what I would call like a closing assistant. One of the models that we've used in the past that works really well is you have somebody in an office that's trained up really well to sell, and you can send somebody without as much knowledge in to basically get the necessary pictures, things like that. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier. We've actually done that model where it's almost like you take somebody who's like a notary or something like that. You send them into a house, and their job is just to be Vanna White, ta-da, and then the person who's really the salesperson is on a video chat with them.
Yep.
And so that's allowed it. So we can be like an accordion. We can be as big or small as we want to and run lean, because when you run, internationally, or you run even nationally, right? Like $100,000 in California a year gets you Section 8. $100,000 a year in Alabama gets you a mansion. No offense to anybody from Alabama, or no offense to anybody on Section 8 California. It just is what it is. I don't make the rules, So when you have that flexibility, that's what allows us to grow and continue to grow. And having this center in Vegas, you got great salespeople in Las Vegas.
Yeah, he's trying to pitch you to come in their hotels. They're dang good.
Of course. Yeah, those timeshares are growing up. So, everybody needs, it's just as long as you get those people to focus and keep them a little bit sober.
Yeah, right. I remember one time in my early days of sales, I was in Hawaii or somewhere, and these timeshare people are like, they're dang good sales. Wonder what kind of commission these guys make. I almost bought one, but I was like, nah.
They almost get you I got to the point one time I was like, you know what? And I was like, wait a second. Take this. I don't even know this thing. You got it. Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the last book you've read, cover to cover, that is awesome you could recommend to our audience?
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge reader. I got a little ADHD going on, and so I'm more of a podcast guy. But my go-to that I always go back to is Miracle of Mindfulness from I don't know if I say his name right, Thich Nhat Hanh. He was a Buddhist monk. Did I say that right?
I'll have to check it out.
I said it perfectly then. If you don't know that. So that book is a book that I've read front to back a lot of times. And then, when I'm having a moment, I'll go back and just read it. It's full of little lessons, right? And it's all essentially revolves around staying in the moment, rather than the mindset of I have to do this, it's I get to do this, which is it resonates with me. I won't go into it too much, but I'm in recovery too. I don't drink or drug. There was a time where I did. So, it's very much important for me to stay in the moment, take things one moment at a time. And that book is very beneficial, especially in the sales world.
Isn't recovery awesome? I'm also in that, and it's just like, it feels so good to be clean and focused on your family, and focus on doing good and not having chains pull at you. And, I love that you're on that path, because it's a noble path, and, we gotta do what's right for our family and our friends and our business, and we don't need that pulling us and holding us in chains. So
it's not getting any better out there. So,
no, we got to be warriors. We got to be leaders, gladiators for our little kids,
Yeah.
It's a jungle out there. So what's the best process in your business that you're most proud of?
Best process. I would say the way that we train closers, because we have, the way that we train closers is based on psychology, but it's also based on logic, right? What I've learned, and what a lot of people have learned, all throughout the sales world, is when somebody buys solar, for example, right? They don't care what the racking is. They don't care they really don't care what kind of panel it is, right? You obviously want to give them good equipment, right? This is all assuming that you're an ethical salesperson that's selling good equipment and doing a good job, right? People don't. If people trust you, then they don't care about that, because they trust you. They know, they have that belief that you're going to take care of them. And the way that we're able to take guys off the street from no solar experience, even no sales experience, to within 3 days, if I give you 3 closes, that's it, you're going to close one. And you're going to close it the right way, and you're going to set the right expectations. And so I would say the process that we train closers, and I don't call it a script, I call it a flow, because it should flow. You shouldn't sound like a robot. But everything in that flow is based on psychology and getting you comfortable, right? In the beginning of the flow, I even put it in the notes. When you get to a home, it doesn't matter if it's your first home or your 1,000th home, you're going to have butterflies. If not, you might be a little bit of a sociopath, right? So you're going to have those butterflies. So it's about, guess what? So is the homeowner, right? So the intro is geared towards relaxing you and relaxing the homeowner, because if you can both be relaxed and you can connect as humans, and if you can connect as humans, you can give them the real shit, give it to them real. It's a no-brainer. I think I'm very proud that time and time again we've hired somebody brand new, no experience, and the first day they go to closes, they close deals, and they're like, "Wow, this works." And it's like, but you always tell them, "No, you did the work. Good job."
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later,
what's a key attribute being a good leader that you'd say that you and your partners have that you could share with our contractors who are trying to grow a strong culture?
I would say just being real, and deeper than that, viewing people as human beings and not as a commodity, viewing them as, I think what makes a strong leader is not treating everyone equally. And what I mean by that is, let's say you work for me, right? And I don't mean cater to everybody's little whiny, temper tantrums, but you as a person may be somebody that reacts well to, tough love. Like, you might be the kind of person where I can call up and be like, "Dude, what the hell is going on? You suck lately, blah, 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 blah," right? But I might be completely different. I might be a little softer. That might make me cry, right? And, some people will say, to hire specific people. But I think, having people that are different is good, because not every homeowner wants, you might go try and close somebody and shut it down, and I might have met with them the day before and they hated me, right? So it's important to have, in sales, it's important to have all different kinds of people with all different kinds of personalities, right? Some people like the sleazy salesman look that comes in, looking like, "Hey, how you doing?" with the grease back hair, in the cheap suit. Some people like that stuff. I don't know, my grandparents probably like that stuff. They still buy cars from people that look like that, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people like somebody more laid back. So I think what makes a really strong leader is being able to connect with everybody, being able to meet them where they're at, right? And understanding that I can't just treat everybody equal, because, well, we're not all at the same spot in life. We don't all have the same capacity. You can beat on me a lot more than you can somebody else who isn't sure if they're good at this yet, right? Like, you could come at me and be like, "Dude, you suck, this, that is." And, if there's some validity to it, I can sit back and go, "All right, you're right. Let's make some changes. I'm a fast thinker when it comes to problem solving. We'll get there." If I go do that to somebody who's a new rep, who's, feeling unsure about themselves because they missed on their last three, well, what am I trying to accomplish? Because if it's to uplift and get the best out of them, with that person, it might not, might just demoralize them. And you might lose somebody who in the future could be, a big asset to your team. Maybe they're a future leader, but, you're trying to treat everybody equal and yell at everybody equally, or whatever it may be. I mean, it's no different. I love sports, so I look at it as sports. Like, if you're a quarterback, you don't train a diet the same way an offensive lineman does. So why would you? So if you would treat your body different for different rules, why would you treat minds differently why wouldn't you treat minds differently? And so that's been the biggest thing, one of the biggest lessons I've learned, and I think that's what's, helped me. Some people like to be micromanaged. Some people want to be left alone, and it's figuring out, and I didn't always know how to figure that out. The best way to do it is ask them.
How do you want to be managed?
Yeah. Ask them, what motivates you? What doesn't motivate you? Why doesn't it motivate you? Why doesn't it motivate you? Ask people. What I've found is people are so stoked that they feel heard. They feel so stoked that you care, right? Like, and that's just the beginning. And I think that's huge. And again, like I said, I'm not saying, like, I get guys that they're constantly throwing temper tantrums, things like that. There's certain guys I've had before, girls that I've had before the book call, and whenever the phone rings, I know they're calling a bitch. And if that's what they're calling to do, eventually I have to let them know, "Dude, you only call me to complain. Don't call me for a week and complain."
Yeah. So I got two final questions for you. I want
Yeah.
you to talk to us about different positions within your company, how your company is structured, because there's a lot of contractors here who they're just a solopreneur or they're wearing all their hats. They haven't figured out how to become the owner. They're still an operator. Talk to us to those people who are trying to become that owner and put the right key people in place. What are your positions you have and what do they do?
So I'm glad you brought that up because we're actually we just hired a company to help us find a COO because we realized after all these years we are sales guys and operations aren't our strong suit. We can start big fires. We can generate a lot of business organizationally. I mean, I don't know if you can see too much of my office behind me. I hope you can't see I got piles of stuff and boxes hidden. I hope they're nice and hidden.
I can't see behind your chair. They're hiding behind your chair.
Awesome. So what I do is one of my partners, he says I'm the diplomat in the group and I keep everybody from killing each other. And we've got within that, we've got, in Solvita, I've got a partner named Shane. He's much more analytical. He's not going to be the one to be hyper creative all the time, but he helped. He linked up with basically a web designer guy and built out we have a proprietary software that we use as our CRM, and so he helped to develop that. He kind of helps to keep things moving in that tech allows for easier project management stuff. So he's involved with the project management, but more on the making sure that everything runs well, the APIs work properly, and things like that. And then Manny, who's the other partner, he's more of the we call him he's the energy guy. He does the trainings with the guys, mostly with the openers, because that's the crappiest job, as far as mindset. So he does a great job of getting everybody fired up. Then we kind of collaborate on the closing training and team building like that. We stay very active in our company chats. Every time somebody closes the deal, things like that. Yeah, everybody's got a couple seconds to send a text. And then we recently brought in our partner Complete, who does our installations. A gentleman that was worked there for a long time named James Fernandez. He helped build out their retention department there, and then he also helped build out their roofing company. And so he was basically built the roofing company from scratch there. He wanted to leave the corporate world, so he took some time off from work, focused on his master's degree, and now he wanted to get back into work. So it's been kind of cool having him because he comes from the ops side of things, and it's nice because he was at Complete Solar for 8 years, and so now we're even more synced up, which makes it very very convenient, and it makes life a lot less stressful. So that's kind of the structure. What we've realized, to get where we want to go, we're going to need another guy like him, and so that's what we're working on right now. Because of the path, what we've done is we say, okay, everything's kind of running smooth. Let's get really big. And then what's the point of selling 250 jobs if you're only built out to manage 120?
Right. True that. So finally, what would you say is key principles that contractors can implement to build a strong culture? Things they can do, little tactics, implementable.
Little tactic: stay present and stay seen. Right. Every time I've one of the mistakes that I've made is things. I was talking to one of my partners recently about this. There's a big difference between something that runs by itself and something that pretty much runs by itself, right? Something that runs by itself, you don't have to look at it at all. Something that pretty much runs by itself means that if you look away for a few weeks, it's going to crash and burn. So, just staying present and staying seen, your people knowing that you're there, right? Whether they need you or not, for the most part, most of my days is spent coming up with creative ideas to grow, to expand, to make things better. It doesn't, the amount of interaction I have to do with my people most days, the guys that work for me, is a couple texts here and there. Hey, great job on that. Hey, you killed it, right? And I made a mistake before and thought, I'm going to do that anymore. That's a waste of my time. Those 30 seconds are a waste of my time, right? And guess what happened? After like 2 months of that, our production went down. Guys are like, the culture sucks now. And so I would say just staying present and staying seen goes a long way. And those are two, almost the same thing, but two very basic principles. Because nobody likes to feel like they're just an asset, right? And we all like to feel like, even if you don't like them. But I would also say don't hire people that you don't like,
Cody, this has been fun, man. Today we discussed how your company's crushing it in the solar sales side of things. And we have a special offer for our audience. If you're a contractor that's trying to figure out how to sell solar, we got you. You're already in front of homeowners. Just reach out to us. We have a system where you just schedule the appointment, we close it for you, and you get nice overrides. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, Cody, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
So the best way is you can send me an email. Don't sign me up for insurance quotes though. It's cbooth@gosymbio. It's symbio.com. And then I'm pretty active on Instagram. I kept my page private because there's a lot of bots on there. I hate getting posts blown up by bots. But on Instagram, I'm Cody_Booth_315. And that's a really good way to get a hold of me. That'd be the preferred way. Because I'm always who's not on Instagram all the time. How often are you on Instagram, Dustin?
Honestly, I don't get on any of this stuff. I have my admins, handle it all for me.
There you go. Well, you're smarter than me.
Well, you know what? You're doing something right. So that's why I'm here taking notes from you. So all good. And Cody, thank you so much for being on the call today. Real construction owners. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, Justin.
Drop me a comment below and let me know how that was. And remember to hit that subscribe button if you're interested in growing your construction business faster and learning how to double your construction company using government construction contracts. I'll have that link down below. I hope you can join me. Until next time, see you then.